So, we are in the season where we are discussing books. And the first episode I want to record is on what to read. And why do I want to give you this suggestion on what to read? Why do I want to start the season with what to read? For the simple reason that I hear very often about how to start reading, and I hear from people that have good intentions. I have no doubt. They really want to help others start reading, but according to my perspective, of course, they are making suggestions that are not probably the most recommended ones according to my perception. What do I mean with that? Most people recommending books on the internet or telling people to start reading or reviewing books and trying to encourage people to start reading, they say start reading anything. Take anything as long as you read, because maybe you will develop the pleasure for reading and blah, blah, blah. And that is going to be good, and you're going to start reading the good things. What I tell people all the time is if you raise your kid and your kid gets used to junk food, sodas, and sweets, and so on, you can't simply one day when the kid turns 18 say, well, from now on, you're going to eat chicken breast and broccoli. The kid is going to hate that. The kid is really going to hate that. The kid is not going to eat it. You're going to have serious problems with your kid, and you're not going to be able to convince your kid that it should eat chicken breast and broccoli, because you raised your kid for years and years on junk food, on sodas and sweets and so on. So you should start already from the good things. You should start already from the quality things. And I believe that you're going to find the quality. You're going to find true wisdom. You're going to find immortal knowledge. You are going to find endless source of questioning, of knowledge, of teachings, of things that are basically atemporal. They are always up to date. You can always discuss them in what people call the classics. So I would encourage you, if you want to start your journey on reading, by trying on the classics. What do I mean by classics? Start with classic literature, classic philosophy, classic poetry, classic theater. We are going to have episodes on each culture, each language, each of these ramifications, philosophy, literature, and so on. So I'm not going to specify them now. But when I'm telling you classics, I'm not telling you bestsellers, books that sell a lot, books that are loved by everyone, even though you can find some books like that. No, I'm talking to you about things like Dostoevsky, Shakespeare, Victor Hugo, Balzac, Dante Alighieri, the Greek tragic, the Greek comedy, and much more. But we are going to have dedicated episodes to each of them. Why do I want you to start from that? Because I want you from the beginning to see that reading is not about the story, but about the wisdom that the book is trying to give you. I see lots of people that started reading, or even people that have been reading for a long while, and they say, oh, I didn't like much this book because the story is not interesting, the story is not attractive. And of course, if you are just starting on the world of literature, on the world of reading, I can understand. But I have seen people with lots of years on reading, with lots of experience on reading, saying this kind of stuff. And we are going to have dedicated episodes for how to read, what to search for when you read. But I can already anticipate you the following. You don't want to know what's the story all about. You don't want to be searching for, oh, is it a beautiful story? Does it have a happy ending? Is it fun? Or blah, blah, blah. The greatest authors in history, they used their books, they used those stories to bring teachings, to bring big wisdom, to bring immortal knowledge to you. And when we start studying here in these episodes how to read and what to search for in a book, you're going to start understanding what I'm telling you. There are moments in which a writer is going to bring you a whole scenario just to sell a sentence about life, about ethics, about behavior, about wisdom, about knowledge, about whatever. They are going to prepare the whole scenario just to throw that sentence in the mouth of one of the characters. And that's what you're searching for, or that's one of the things you're searching for. Now, if you do not have the habit of reading, if you are not used to reading, what is going to happen when you start reading these books that I'm going to recommend you? It's going to happen to you probably the same thing that happened to me, and that happened to me for years, not for a couple weeks or for a couple months, for years. You're going to read and you're not going to understand. You're going to read and you're going to find it boring. You're going to read and you're going to be like, it doesn't relate to myself. It doesn't relate to my time, to my daily life, and so on. And you're going to want to abandon it. And I swear to you, I can understand that feeling. I can understand it. And you ask me, how did you stay in that? If when you started, you didn't understand anything, and if you, when you started, it wasn't entertaining for you. And I'll give you the most honest answer I can give you. When I started dedicating myself to read, I was changing completely my lifestyle. I was changing completely my habits, the companies that I had around me, the things that I was doing with my life, the values that I had and that were driving me. And I knew that this was the right thing to do, to listen to certain kinds of music, to acquire certain new habits for my life, to read certain literature and avoid certain other type of literature. And I knew that was a good way. I knew that that was going to bring me something. But the first time I tried it, actually for a good while, as I told you, for a couple years, it was very difficult. I'm gonna give you a stupid example, but it's an example that pretty much shows you how things go. First time people invited me to eat sushi, I was very young. I was a teenager, 15, 16 years old, and it was becoming fashion to eat sushi. And there were many sushi chains opening in my country, and people were starting to go there. Occidental sushi, okay? The sushi for tourists, so to say, not the sushi that they eat in Japan. So I go for the first time to a sushi restaurant and I tried that raw fish. And I tried it and I was like, this is really not tasty. I really don't like this kind of thing. But I knew it was a trend. Everyone was enjoying sushi, everyone was eating that. So I was like, maybe it's just a question of getting used to it. So I had the first sushi and I didn't like it. Then I was dating a girl and she said, oh, I love sushi. Why don't we go to sushi? And we went to sushi again. And the second time wasn't that bad. The third time was okay. From the fourth time on, I started enjoying it. And nowadays I love sushi. It's just one of my favorite foods. I know we are talking about intellectual life. I know we are talking about something completely different, but I just wanted to tell you with a simple, silly example that when you start on this journey, it is going to be difficult. It is going to be something that maybe you are not going to enjoy as much. But if you trust me, or if you trust people who are used to read that and they say good things about the important books, the most remarkable books in human history, trust them. Go with what they're telling you and give yourself time. And if your thing is not that much the content, but the size of the book, you cannot spend too much time reading one book, then okay, try to find smaller books from the classics, because there are several. I will make a list in this season. There will be an episode dedicated to what kind of classic books you can read in one day, because they're like 100 pages or maybe even less. And I'm going to make a list of them, and then you can start from there, reading the classics in short versions, in books that the classics wrote that are very short, that can be read in one day, in one afternoon, or if you're not able to read for more than 1 or 2 hours, it will take you just 2 or 3 days to read them. I think that's pretty much it for this video. The main thing here was to tell you that if you're going to start already from the good things, because if you start from crap books, bestsellers that have no content and so on, you are going to get used to that. And when you go to the real thing, you are probably not going to enjoy. You are going to find that there isn't as much action, that is not as entertaining, that the story is not good, and blah, blah, blah. Because the books that are, in general, okay, not all of them, bestsellers, popular, that everyone likes to read, and so on, they do not have content. They just have an entertaining, fun story to make you spend your time. They are like a blockbuster movie in book version. And I don't want to recommend you blockbuster movies. I want to recommend you the good ones, the ones that I believe will really have some content to teach you. And as the season goes on, as you follow the videos, I hope you're going to understand why the books that I'm going to recommend you are the good ones. And when I tell you how to read, you're going to understand why those books will provide you with this content and other books are not going to provide you with that content. But that's enough for today's video. See you soon. Bye bye.